Hey, everybody. This is Corey Brown here with Off Access Marketing. Hope y'all are doing well today. Today, I wanted to take some time to hopefully help you. For all of you out there that are trying to grow a business, it's hard, right? It's difficult. There's a lot of other competitors. There's a lot of effort that it takes. Your hopes and dreams are on the line, right? Um, I have learned through my career. I've made all the mistakes in the book, right? But I've done some really good things, and I've taken some notes, as you should, and corrected along the way. I have discovered that there's a couple things that if I was not doing these, it doesn't matter how well I do some of the other things, I still wouldn't be very successful. But it's because I do some of these key, core, essential things that I'm able to make sales consistently and predictably, and my efforts are rewarded. So it keeps me in the game. It's been a fun ride for me. Just a little background. I've been in the service business for about 16 years, primarily in the HVAC service realm. So I've been selling an intangible. I don't sell the units. I actually sell the services. So I'm selling an idea. I'm not even able to say, hey, look, here's a product. It's pretty. See, it works better than yours. I have to sell an idea. I'm selling my team. I'm selling something that you can't touch and feel. So I've learned, for all of you sales reps out there, the professional salespeople, or if you're an entrepreneur that's trying to grow your business or train your salespeople to do the right things, I hope that these 7 essential secrets will help you. Let's dive in and get going. I'll tell you a little bit just about my background. I'm from North Carolina. I live in Greenville. Little bitty town, honestly. Only about 100,000 folks in the county here. So I started, let's say, at Appalachian State University. When I got home from App State, did 4 years there, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I worked for Ford, a local dealership in my hometown, because I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I saved some money while I was working there, and I got bored sending my resume around is what I did. Nobody taught me, or either I wasn't listening. That's very possible, that I wasn't listening in college about how to get a job. But I could teach a whole nother training on how to go get a job. That's a completely different story, but I got bored sending my resume around the world, right? I wanted to go work in Florida, right, and all this stuff. So I got bored doing that. I went and put on a suit, grabbed my college, credentials, and went out hunting a job face to face. Stepped into the Ford dealership and got a job there for the next 9 or 10 months. And that got me, thankfully, enough sales experience to get my next job, which was at Piedmont Service Group. Back then it was called Piedmont Air Conditioning. I had no idea I wanted to be in the air conditioning business. I didn't think at all I wanted to be in the air conditioning business. I didn't know what the V stood for in HVAC when I started the business, but I've learned a lot since then. So 4 years into being a sales rep at Piedmont Service Group, I actually left because I was after maybe creating my own business and making a little more income. So I started with a company called Legal Shield as an independent associate. Commission only, right? No salary, just commission. Piedmont was a salary plus commission deal. So that was, at least I had a little bit to pay my bills with. Legal Shield was commission only, man. You sink or swim. My wife was 6 months pregnant when I made that move. Thankfully, she trusted me. And it was tough there for the first 3 or 4 months. Very low paychecks. But by about the 5th month, they started rolling in like I was used to, and actually grew. Did that business for about 2 years. And I really, honestly, had I not made that move and worked for myself and got paid commission only, I would have not learned some of the lessons that I needed to, of where I was slacking off where I was not working to the best of my ability, where I was screwing myself, honestly, and leaning on my salary to feed me, right? So I learned a lot by doing that business. It was an insurance business. I sold it as an employee benefit to companies. So there's several different divisions of the company, if you're familiar with it. So then I decided I didn't want to do that much anymore. I just was bored with a little bit. Started looking around, and a buddy of mine owned Down East Protection Systems, which is DEPS. I got back into the service industry, selling security and fire alarms. Did that for about a year, and then my buddies back at Piedmont Service Group started calling me back. And they had made some changes that made it much more attractive, actually. The comp plan had changed quite a bit. And I really enjoyed the HVAC industry. I never had any issues with it. I still today love the industry. And so I went back. That was 2011. And did another 4-year stint. I moved to Virginia with the company, was a sales manager. I was training salespeople, hiring and firing a sales team in our Virginia market. And then my wife didn't like Virginia that much, so we moved back to North Carolina with a company called Hyster-Yale. They're a $3 billion operation, at least they were back then, 2015. And I helped launch a division of their company. There's a new product coming out, right? I was kind of a sales manager / I was involved in everything in that rollout. Did that for only about a year. That was a traveling job, and I had a young family and needed to get off the road. So I did that for about a year and went back to Piedmont Service Group. Piedmont is a Service Logic company. That's our parent operation. Started working a little bit for Service Logic as well in a sales training role. And then I still today work for Piedmont Service Group and Service Logic, but started feeling like I don't have the opportunity to train as much as I like to. I like showing people how to be successful in this area. Actually, it doesn't matter what you do. If we're playing golf, right? I'm not the greatest at golf, but if you're worse than I am, I know I can help you a little bit. So for you folks that some of you are better than me, right? And that's okay in sales. But maybe some of the lessons I've learned might help you. But a lot of you cats are just getting started or are worse than I am. So hopefully I can help you. So I started Corey Brown Sales is kind of the overarching parent company, and Off Axis Marketing is what I'm doing now in my to help train and consult with people to try to help them improve, whether they're growing their business, whether they're growing just their income because they're a professional salesperson, whether they're an entrepreneur trying to hire salespeople, train salespeople, create great compensation packages, whatever. That's just a little bit about me, about my journey and where I've been, so that you can get an understanding. So primarily in the service business for most of the past 16 years. There's only about 3.5 years in there that I wasn't doing something in the HVAC and service world. Here are my passions, right? Those folks in the middle are my family at the top there. Those are my 3 girls. I'm one of 3 boys. I had 3 girls. Come on, girl dads, Kylie. Pray for me. I take prayers and donations as much as possible because weddings are expensive. So anyway, I love my family. I truly love spending time with them. This is us at the corner we went camping with our funny faces there. I actually really love business. I enjoy talking business. If my buddies and I are hanging out, we're typically talking some sort of business. All right. Whenever I meet somebody, I typically am asking them what they do. I'm very interested in how businesses work and what people do to make money. I find it very intriguing that there's a billion different ways to make a dollar in this world, and I think it's fun to learn about them. Um, wakeboarding now, they're very active, dude. I love to wakeboard. It's my favorite thing in the world. I work out quite a bit. P90X and Tony Horton, come on, guys. That dude's kept me in shape for the past 14 years, something like that. So thanks, Tony and the Beachbody crowd. I get up around 5 in the morning because that's when my kids aren't awake and before I go to work. So that's when I do it. Work out for about 30, 45 minutes, something there. Eat healthy and try to maintain some sort of physique. I love playing golf. Those are some of my friends from work, actually, playing. And that is Amen Corner, if you don't know the Masters. We've had the opportunity to go a couple times. So I really love playing golf. Love trading stocks and investing of all sorts. But stock trading seems to be the thing that I can do kind of on the go and control it a little bit. And I've had some success there. So it's a lot of fun. I love traveling. This is me and my brother and sister-in-law actually in St. Thomas last year. A lot of fun. If you've never been scuba diving, go to St. Thomas. There's a dude on the beach that does it. It's awesome. You don't have to have certifications or anything. It's great. And then I like to bike. I should be over in the workout section, but I love to ride my bike. I do I don't do a lot, but I'm like 50 miles a week, something like that. And I like to run every now and again. And then that's not me on the drums, but I do love to drum. I've been drumming since I was, 5th grade. Started in band. My mom and dad bought me a set when I was in 7th grade. So been drumming ever since. I play for my church for worship on Sundays sometimes. I'm about the third guy in rotation, so there's a couple of us. But anyway, just to let you know, that's a little bit about me, so you understand who I am and what I'm all about. I work hard in sales, and I really love being successful in sales, honestly, so I can do some of these other things. So I can afford to take some time to go wakeboarding or travel with my family or my wife or kids or whatever. So that's honestly my motivation is some of these things. Okay, so let's jump into what you came here to watch. All right, so this is just a brief overview of kind of some of the things that we're going to dive into. So first, who is your ideal client? What do you want to help your clients achieve? If you don't know the answers to those things, it's tough to get started. How do you communicate what you do? It's important. How do you quantify your solutions? There's a lot of people that offer things that just don't quantify them for people, and we'll talk a lot about that. And what options do you offer? Okay, so that's just a brief outline. Let's jump right into some of the foundational things that I feel like I have to cover just so that you understand. There's a lot of salespeople out there. There's a lot of sales gurus and trainers out there that are talking all kinds of stuff, but some of them are freaking crazy, right? And I don't agree with some of their ideas, right? Some people are in sales just to make the sale and don't care about the customer. I'm not that guy, right? If that's you, then you probably don't care to listen to me. But I figured I'd mention this because A, it's important to me. B, this helps you understand if I'm the guy that you might want to listen to, or you may want to listen to somebody else, right? What sales should not be, okay? In my opinion, you should not be trying to convince someone to buy something they don't need or want, right? If they honestly don't need it or don't really want it, why waste your time? There's a lot of people who do want services and products, so spend your time on those people. I'm not. This is honestly a lot of the cliche, like the reason people don't like salespeople, right, is, oh, you're pushy and you try to sell people things they don't want or need. Pestering or wearing down products, wearing down prospects until they buy from you. Okay, that's also the perception of a lot of people. Oh, I gotta beat you down until you buy something from me. That is honestly a lot of the stigma. I know people that would be good in the sales arena that have some hangups with things like this because they think it's what it is. And they're missing great opportunities because they're just, they don't understand, right? But because there's people out here who do all this crap, it ruins it for a lot of us. So screwing someone out of their hard-earned money. If that's what you're doing in sales, you need to freaking get out of the industry, whatever you're doing in sales, and go do something else, because you're ruining it for the rest of us. Bothering or bugging people. That's just not what we do. If you're bothering and bugging people, then you need to figure out a different strategy so that you don't bother and bug people. And if you feel like you're bothering and bugging people, then you probably are, and again, need some help in how to. Yes, we have to reach out to people, but you shouldn't be bothering or bugging people. Okay, that's many times a perception that people think of salespeople. Lying so that you can make a sale. Boy, that's a big one. That's a real stigma in the industry, and it's unfortunate that it goes on every day. But there's liars in every industry. There's crooks in every industry, man. But it's sad that people sometimes want what they want more than they care to serve others or to take care of other people. So. We need to make some sales, but it's not at the expense of your character, right? The commission is more important than a satisfied customer. Those kind of go hand in hand, don't they? So if you care only about the money in this game, then you're probably not going to do well, and you're going to be seen as probably an ass because people can see through that. They can tell when you care or if you don't care, right? If you're just after the sale, you can come across as you don't really care. So, and you're just after the sale. All right, so let's talk about what. Again, these are my beliefs. Hopefully, you agree with some of these. If you do, then you'll probably enjoy everything I talk about, because these line up. The key components to being successful. Okay, if people don't know you, they will not buy from you. Okay. So no, we don't want to bug and bother people, but you do have to be known, right? You do have to be willing to there's a lot of salespeople. There's a lot of products. There's a lot of services that look just like yours. Okay. So you do have to figure out how to stand out from the crowd. So that you can be known, because if somebody doesn't know you, they certainly can't buy from you. Grant Cardone actually is a great sales trainer I've watched over the years, and he shouts that from the rooftop, like, "Hey, they don't know who you are, right?" Russell Brunson's another one. Hey, man, you got to get attention so that people can actually look at your opportunity or click on your thing if you're doing it online, right? Let's move on. Making a sale means that you have successfully helped your client accomplish something or solve a problem. I truly believe that. If I can't help somebody, why am I even in the room, right? If I can't help them move the peg in some way, then I need to go find somebody that I can, because that'll be more impactful for both them and me. Honesty and integrity are the only ways to build trust and are keys to success in anything, especially sales. So that's in complete contrast. That's the reality. The stigma is that you got to lie and cheat to make sales, right? Is what some people think. But honesty is everything in this game. The only way somebody is going to actually trust me or believe me or buy from me even is if they trust me. And if I'm not being honest and integrous, then guess what? That's freaking hard to do, is get somebody to trust you if you're lying to them all the time. Okay, professional, persistent follow-up. That's huge. If you've been in the sales business long at all, or tried to grow any business, you know that persistence is everything. If you are not willing to be persistent, you won't be here long. So different from bugging people, right? Professional persistence is, hey, I keep myself top of mind without bugging you, um, or pestering you. Okay, there's key ways to do that. That if you hadn't figured that out, you need to, right? I'll give you a good example right quick, and then we'll move on. Of not good professional persistent. Well, it's persistent. It's just not well done. Like these automated callers. Oh my gosh, how many people get those? I get 5 a day, right? I mean, somebody's calling my phone, and there's some automated person on the other line, a computer talking to me. That's very persistent. It's just not professional, nor is it the best way to do it. Whoever answers those calls, I don't know who and how they keep sustaining that deal, but some people must answer. So I don't know. But professionally persistent is, hey, I want you to follow up with me. I just need you to do it in this manner. How do you follow up with people like that? You ask, right? There's ways to do what people want you to do. You just got to ask the questions and do what they're asking you to do. Next, treating people like you want to be treated always works. It's the golden rule, man. It's also biblical, right? Treat others how you would like to be treated. If you want to be treated fairly, treat people fairly. If you want to be honest, if you want people to be honest with you, be honest with people, right? If you treat people, like you care for somebody, sales will come, right? I could stop with just some of these things, and if you've never heard them, you'd be better off. And then doing the right thing, no matter the cost. Sometimes you will screw up. Sometimes you will, whether it's you or your company, or somebody, you'll mess up, right? Own it and do the right thing. All right. If I don't know what that's going to be in your world, and it might be very costly, it might be very, limited in cost, but all I know is doing the right thing always pays off, and always is the best thing for you long term. Okay. I believe this statement, right? Salespeople and entrepreneurs are the ones that will change the world, right? Because we're the people out there that are willing to risk our livelihood. We're willing to risk our own necks, risk our opinions that people think about us, right? We're willing to risk our family's well-being, our financial security to go represent a product or a service or a company, to go build something, right? For someone else many times. A lot of us are still selling for someone else, right? And you're growing that company. Nothing happens until somebody sells something, okay? Whether you're doing it online or right here, a lot of my stuff, and the folks will probably be watching this, you're doing it face to face. You're setting appointments, whether it's over the phone or in person. You're hammering it out, and you're meeting with people, and you're closing deals. So we're the people that are going to grow companies, grow incomes for both us and the people that we serve and work for, right? All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of it. All right, so one thing I realized that people struggle with. I had an entrepreneur come to me not terribly long ago. She's like, "Where do we start?" It feels like the world is their oyster, right? And they don't know where to start, and they feel like they're shotgunning the market. So what you have to decide where you are going to start. I can't tell you that. I could. Call me, right? And we can talk through it, and I can help you down that path. But here's just a couple tips for hey, you're starting anew, whether it's you got a territory now and you're covering 2 or 3 states or just a couple counties or whatever, but this is your territory and you're going to sell. Who are you selling to, right? Or whether it's you're an entrepreneur and you can grow the whole world where do you start? Okay. Who could benefit from your product or service the most? Okay. Identify that. Write them down, right? Make a list. This is important. Use proximity and your current strengths to your advantage. For instance, I'm going to litter you with my personal experiences, okay? I moved to Virginia, to Hampton Roads, Virginia. Didn't know a soul there. 2 million people are in that market. I was serving the Hampton Roads area, and I managed an office in Richmond as well, Richmond, Virginia. So you're talking about two massive markets. That's probably 3 million people or more between those two markets, okay? We were in the HVAC world, right? So I knew what current customers we already did business with. Even though it was few, we only had a few clients. I knew what we were good at already and where we had strength. So I went after exactly those other kind of clients, right? And then also proximity to our office. In the HVAC world, we're gauged off of how fast can you be here when I need you, okay? So proximity was, all right, who is in a 20-mile radius of me, right? 30-mile radius of me. And there was a lot of buildings that I could call on those customers and get that business. And that's exactly where I started. And then it just grew from there. Referrals and whatnot, and time in industry events and things like that. But proximity and current strengths are huge for you to use to your advantage if you are just getting started. Who do you need to target as the decision maker in the organization? So this is also big time, right? If you're calling, many times, salespeople are notorious for calling lower than they should because it's easier to get a hold of those people. They feel better about themselves because they got somebody on the phone instead of they should be calling the C-suite person, and they're busy. They're harder to get to. It takes more creativity to get that person. But if you spend your life calling too low, you'll fight. You'll fight and fight and fight because you're not calling the right level. Conversely, if you're trying to call C-suite all the time, but the decision is really made at the lower level, then maybe you need to switch gears, right? I did that when this was 2016. I started calling. I was calling just CEOs, CFOs, right, of these plants. I do a lot of commercial business in the manufacturing and industrial world. And guess what? They weren't talking to me. I burned the phone up for 3 months straight because I had this stuck in my mind. I was going to call these people, and these were going to be my customers. Well, guess what? I didn't have any sales at the end of 3 months. And I was like, dadgummit. I switched gears right quick and said, all right, I'm going to call the maintenance managers and folks on the ground level that might be pissed about their current, customer or current vendor. So I immediately got traction because those were the guys that really, if the C-suite guy was not hearing much of jabber out of that guy, he was happy as long as it wasn't costing him an arm and a leg, okay? So that's all I'll say about that. Just know who you're targeting and make sure you're targeting the right person that makes the decision. And many times in our day and age, there's a team that makes the decisions, not just one guy most of the time. So you honestly, whether you're starting at the top or at the bottom, know where you're starting and know where you got to get to in the process. How do they make buying decisions? That's what I just mentioned. I mean, there's typically a team of people these days, unless it's just a sole proprietorship and you're selling to just maybe a small business that the president is also the dude that tells everybody what to do, right? And runs all the meetings and does the bills. Then that guy might be your guy. But I'll give you in my world, we might have a maintenance manager or a operations director or a CFO or if you go into like the municipal world, you might have a county or city manager or a VP of operations or a VP of finance. A lot of these people, they make the decision together. A lot of times they'll meet and talk and figure out whether they're going to do business with you or not. But you do need to understand how they're making those decisions. You need to ask. Maybe you can ask some friends or folks as you're doing your digging on your market. Hey, how do y'all make decisions? Just trying to get some information and help understand how you do things, and who influences the decision, right? So that's the team. Whether you like I say, whether you started at the top or the bottom, know how the decision is made and who the influencers are, and you'll still be able to win because you'll be able to move and adjust because you know where you're going. What groups are they a part of? Associations, industries, organizations, chambers, commerce, civics groups, right? This is the lifeblood of most new salespeople or new entrepreneurs' business, is getting out. If you don't have time to get out and meet people, I don't know what to tell you, but you ain't going to meet many people and your business is not going to grow. But it takes the effort of meeting new people wherever they may be. So if your clients are at the Rotary Club, guess what? You need to join the Rotary Club. If they're at the Chamber of Commerce meetings, you need to join the Chamber of Commerce. If they're at a hospital group and you're trying to do hospitals, guess what? You need to join that hospital group. I'm a part of the Manufacturers Association in a local community nearby. Guess what? I do business with almost every single one of those manufacturers. You got to be where your customers are. Plain and simple, right? You got to sacrifice whatever it is to make those relationships, because if people don't know who you are, they can't buy from you. All right. They also got to like you and trust you. So time spent with them is helpful. So that's why you got to build these relationships. All right. So who are your competitors in the same space, right? It's always helpful to understand what your current market looks like, who you're fighting against, and who may currently have the business, and what are their pros and cons. How can you craft your message, around what they might currently be doing? There's a guy named Russell Brunson that runs a company called ClickFunnels. He talks about a blue ocean or a red ocean, right? The red ocean is one that's already been chummed up and there's a lot of blood in the water. All right. That means if you're going into HVAC field, right? All right. So we've been in HVAC business. The company I work for is 50 years old, right? We've been in this space a long time. The space is not new. It's not electric cars and Tesla's the winner, right? Electric cars a couple years ago was a blue ocean. Nobody was doing it. Guess what? Elon Musk jumped into a blue ocean and he had all the fish because he was the one creating it. A red ocean would be, hey, if you're jumping into the insurance business today, right? You're going to go sell life insurance. Guess what? Red ocean. HVAC business, red ocean. Somebody's doing something with give me a second. Sorry, something messed up on my computer here. So somebody is currently doing business with all your clients in a red ocean. In a blue ocean, hopefully you have that opportunity and you go jump into a blue ocean business. But the key is to make a blue ocean even out of a red ocean industry. So what that means is that you have to be creative. You have to use your noggin to create some sort of niche, something that you can pull people away from what they already know and have done, and set them down in a place where the water's not all chummed up, right? So I don't know exactly what that's going to be for your business. I don't even know how to walk you through that right this second via a video. But understand that if you're jumping into a red ocean, you can make it a blue ocean by creating unique offers, by creating value that the current red ocean doesn't have. Okay. And that is the challenge. You have to think outside the box so that you can you want customers coming over into your blue ocean where there's not a bunch of other sharks chumming them up. Okay. So your competitors can just pick them off by having a little cheaper price or something like that. You need to think hard and get into your blue ocean. All right, so those are critical key ideas for who's your client. So this first secret is your Dream 100. So this idea, the term Dream 100, the first time I ever heard it was by a guy named Chet Holmes. I got a slide next here to show his book. The Ultimate Sales Machine is, I think, what he's best known for is what I know him for. So just like my entrepreneur friend who's like, where do we start, right? I got 2 salespeople and the whole world is our industry. They have to decide, all right, I need 100 clients that I can go after. You can keep 100 clients organized. Put them in your CRM, and when you've followed up with those, you can keep track of that pretty easily. 100 clients you can actually get to know fairly easily, right? And they will know that you're trying to get to know them. If you have a list of 2,000, how long is it going to take you to burn through 2,000 names and call them all and develop relationships with them all? Well, that's a lot. But if you have 100 that you're starting with, you create. The goal is to go deep and not so wide at first, so that you can develop quality relationships, and those quality relationships will help you go wide. Okay, that's the whole goal. So why not just shotgun the market because you'll make money faster? Well, there might be some cases that's true, but your longevity is on a short list, because you won't have the people that believe in you, that love you, that are willing to refer you over and over and over and over again. Okay. So a couple bullet points in here. Create a list, as in write them down, of the people that you specifically want to target. I keep still today, and have for years, a list of my top prospects and potential clients in front of my face. It's right behind my computer at my desk, so that when it does a couple things for me. A, it keeps them top of mind. B, when it's time to sit down and make phone calls and follow up with people, or try to set new appointments and create the business that I got to generate, I know who I'm calling. They're right there. I have them in my CRM, right? And I have all kinds of notes for them. That's the second point, is research everything you can about the client, the decision makers, and keep them all in a CRM, a contact relationship management tool. You're trying to keep notes on these people, right? Because how else are you going to stand out? You can stand out to 100 people, okay? It's hard to stand out to 2,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 people, okay? But 100 people, I can call them enough. I can research them. I can find out. We have enough social media platforms these days that these people are volunteering the information in a public place for you to understand when the birthday is, if they're married, they got kids, what school they went to. Quick scan of a LinkedIn page tells you a lot about a person, what their activities are, what they like, that sort of thing. The person that's after a quality relationship will take notice of those things. It's kind of like if you're dating, right? If you didn't give a crap about the person you were actually dating, you wouldn't look any of those things up. But if you actually cared to have a long-term relationship with that person, you would start asking or researching, hey, what do you like? You know what? And so there's a lot of ways to get that information about people, whether it's through research ahead of time before you meet them, or when you do meet them. Chet Holmes is a believer that, look, the reason he went from he worked for Charlie Munger back in the day, and took the worst performing magazine to the best performing magazine in 6 months or something like that. I can't remember exactly. Go read the book. I'll show it to you on the next page just to remind you. It's called The Ultimate Sales Machine. But his relationships with those people is what kept him in the business, in the market, and kept his competitors out, because he would send cards on their birthday or on their anniversary or on their kid's birthday or Christmas or whatever, right? That is the stuff that honestly helps you stand out. Yeah, you can show up to an association event, which is important, right? But when you're going above and beyond what the normal is, that's where you stand out. That's where you create that blue ocean, where people will do business with you because you have that level of relationship with them. Okay, doesn't matter what sector. Some of you are like, well, I'm in the government, sector, and I can't really do that. You can, because there's ways. Yes, they have to follow certain protocols if you're a government employee or whatnot. There are some rules and regs about that, but relationships are relationships, right? People have ways to work their systems, right? So that the people that they know and they trust, they can keep doing business with, because they want to do business with somebody they know and trust. Okay. All right. So creatively market to them consistently enough to be recognized and remembered. That's why, again, we're limiting the number to 100. If you're just starting, right? If you just signed up for a sales job or you just started a company, the first thing to do is get 100 people that you want to call on your list. Now, again, from my previous notes on the last page, use proximity, people close to you, around you, in your same town, whatever. And then what you might your current strengths are, maybe who you're currently doing business with. So you have some references and referrals for what you're currently doing. Okay. But the reason that you again, that you're keeping it to 100 is so that you can do some fun, creative stuff for 100 people, right? That you can't for 1,000 and 2,000. Okay. That's the whole point. We'll move on. Follow up, and then more follow up. I have probably called the people. I have about 200 people on my list now. I have been doing what I've been doing for almost 16 years. And still, I only serve 10 counties or something like that in eastern North Carolina. All right, go look it up. There ain't many buildings around here. Manufacturing plants, some churches, municipal buildings. That's what it is. But the way in which you follow up with people will help you stay top of mind and be thought of, right? Maybe your services, they don't need you right now, but you keep following up with that person. I mean, how many times, I can't tell you how many times somebody said, no, I don't really need your services. And 6 months later, I followed up with them just because I was trying to follow up. And all of a sudden they had a problem. They needed me, right? Or maybe 2 weeks later, right? Or a year later, whatever. Sometimes it was 10 years later. But either way, keep following up with them until they tell you to drop dead or they do business with you, right? That's another one of if you read Chet Holmes's book, he'll say that same thing, right? When do you stop calling somebody? Well, until they tell you to never call them again, or till they buy from you. Honestly, even if they don't tell you not to call you again, that person's probably going to be gone in another 3 to 5 years. It's just how people work these days. They're not going to be in that job for long. Anyway, one story. I did have a client. We showed up at this manufacturing plant. He didn't need us, right? He was like, no, I'm good. Thanks. We knew this plant kind of had a little bit of a turnover rate, but I was literally 2 months later, I called the guy back. I was like, I'm just going to see if anything's changed. That guy wasn't there. A new guy had been in the seat for 5 days and was overwhelmed as could be. I knew more about his building than he did because I'd been in there over the years, right? And I was able to win a substantial amount of business with this plant because I was following up when that guy sat down and he needed answers and solutions, and I was right there with him because I kept following up, even after somebody told me, no, we don't need you. Don't give up until they're your client. That's no other way to really say it. Most people, so if you look at the stats, salespeople follow up almost never, right? The amount of people that follow up more than one time is only like 25% of salespeople, right? In the polls that they take. The people that follow up more than twice drops to like 7%. That's sad, people. Follow up is the business many times, right? It is how you create the relationship. You can't do anything by calling somebody 1 or 2, 3 times. That's just never going to happen. You have to follow up with these people. So if you're blitzing a list, just to contrast here, if you got a list of 2,000 people and you're running through the 2,000 list, and then when you get done, you go run through them again, well, guess what? A year's gone by or 6 months has gone by. Nobody knows who you are because they can't remember you when you called 6 months ago. They didn't answer your phone call then. They didn't listen to your voicemail then. Maybe they did, but if they just don't remember you because you're not following up enough to be memorable. Last item is once they're your client, ask for referrals. People who like you and trust you and buy from you are happy to send you to other people that will most likely like you, trust you, and buy from you. All right, it's the best source of business. That's how your 100 turns into 1,000, okay? Over time, you will build through people that love you and like you and will vouch for you. That is how you build to a healthy 1,000, okay? Or 2,000 or 5,000 or whatever the number is that you currently have in your pipeline of folks you're following up on. You need to grow to that point. I'm not saying you don't need to get to 2,000, 5,000, whatever the number is, but the Dream 100 is a focus. Where you focus, things will grow, okay? That's all there is to it. If I focus on, I'll give you a good example. I wanted to see my abs about 1.5 years ago. And before that, I didn't really care what I put in my mouth. I was eating whatever. I was working out every day, right? P90X, like a champ. Every morning, 5 a.m., 5:30, whatever it was. I was up doing the work, working out, but I was negating everything I did physically by what I was eating, all right? The minute I started focusing on, all right, when am I ever going to see these abs? I started researching what I needed to do to that. I saw a video where one of these swole brothers was like, hey, you're not going to see your abs until you're sub 14% body fat. And I was like, oh my gosh. Well, that's new information for me first. And I could do some math. All right, what percent? I was 23% body fat. I knew, and they were telling me, you got to stop eating anything and everything, right? Sugar and bread were killing me. So guess what? I focused on abs and getting lean. I stopped eating bread and sugar, and I started running more and riding my bike more. I didn't even have a road bike until I made that goal of, hey, I want to be sub 14% body fat, and I'm still not there, by the way. I'm on the way, right? Doing okay, but I'm still not where I really want to be. But that focus of here's what I want to do, that caused the change. It's not just, hey, I want this goal and I'll get there when I get there. That's what calling a list and being willy-nilly is about it. You have to be organized and focused in your effort. And that's what the Dream 100 is, okay? Focus on your people, develop the relationships. That's how you stand out above the crowd because there's a lot of noisy people out there. All right, let's move on. Well, there's Chet Holmes' book right there. I've already covered a lot of this, so I'm not going to belabor these points. So the Ultimate Sales Machine, I recommend it to anybody who wants to grow a company or is in sales. It's great. Are your customers hearing from you enough to pay attention? That's huge. Some of you cats will call somebody and then not call them for another 3 months or send them an email and then not contact them. If somebody just read my email yesterday, it might help that I call them the next day or even later that day. Because guess what? They remember that they read my email or listened to my voicemail. If they listen to my voicemail and are considering actually talking to me, if I call them back later that day or early the next day, they will still remember and they actually appreciate the persistence. but I'm top of mind enough to where they haven't forgot me, and I'm not just another call the next time, and they're like, has that guy ever called? I don't know, right? What do you know about your clients that your competitors do not? This is the stuff that where um, I'm a fan of actually getting pretty personal with people. If you treat people like people, I mean, I've dealt with marriage problems with some of my clients, right? Because I've been through some marriage stuff myself, and some of my clients have been through some marriage stuff. So we dove into it, right? We're people. People deal with people problems. So instead of being a robot and, hi, this is my product and this is what it does for you, and this is the pros and cons, and do you want to buy it? Right? That you will weave that into the conversation, but if somebody's willing to open up about their personal problems, with you, and maybe share some insight that they're not willing to share with other people, now you're closer than just someone they're buying from, right? You're making a bigger difference in somebody's life than just providing a good product or service. Okay, that's the goal. That's more impactful as a person. Instead of just being a great sales rep, I can be a good friend and confidant to somebody, right? What relationships do you have with your clients that your competitors don't? Most of your competitors are not trying this hard, just so you know. Most people are staying away from personal issues, stay away from, religion and politics, and don't get into their business much, right? That's what most people don't do. They're not real with people. And they put on this front that everything's fine with them, and hopefully everything's fine with you. And people's lives are messy, right? So it's okay to befriend someone, whether they do business with you or not, right? I'm okay if somebody doesn't do business with me. I'm still going to be a good friend to them, or maybe try to help them in a way that I've been helped. That's what this is, right? I'm trying to help you guys. If you're watching this, I'm trying my best to help you get past some of these barriers, because nobody told me. I had to kind of learn it. Nobody said, Corey, just be yourself and be a good friend to these people. Like, let your personality show a little bit, and don't be so cookie cutter. A lot of times when people jump into training programs for companies, especially if it's a big company, man, they got that training program, dialed in, and here's what you do, and here's what you do, and here's what you do. And that's true from the nuts and bolts of, and I'm even going to share some things today that are nuts and bolts that you need to cover, but you got to be human. Okay, that's kind of the goal of this. And Chet Holmes does a great job in this book of doing human things, caring about people. So along the road of caring about people wanted to do business with him because of who he was. If you're not a good person to the people, and you just got a good product, but you're a schmuck, that's no good. Plus, you're probably nobody's going to do business with you. Anyway, we'll move on from this topic. Next. All right, this is important because it's secret number 2. It's at least the second most important secret. All right, so identify your sales process and framework. What I find is that people, look, I've trained people in my own organization that will not follow the blasted steps of our own process that I personally train them. I don't know why people don't adhere to this, but if you have trouble with this, call me, right? Let's sit down and have a conversation about it, about why you don't want to follow steps in a process. Because what you're trying to do is get your customer is currently here, okay? And what is the goal that you want to help your client achieve, okay? How If the goal, I'll just give you my example, okay? Abs. I wanted to see abs. All right, I was here and I was 23% body fat. That's no abs, guys, right? Step one is Corey. Okay, you need to stop eating bread and sugar. Okay, that's step one, and you got to do that, or you ain't ever gonna get to seeing abs. Step two is get on your bike and get running at least a couple miles a week. I do not a lot of running, but I'm probably a 2 to 5 mile a week guy on the run. And then I do about 20 to 50 miles a week on my bike, depending on what week it is. So first, drop the stuff that's killing me, right? And then add the stuff that helps burn the fat off me. Okay. Third would probably be, what was the third step? The third step is probably stick to these things and stay dedicated to them long enough for it to actually work. What I have found is that the last 5 pounds that I'm trying to melt off my body to really see really defined abs is harder than the first 10 to 15 pounds. All right. So the dedication there is, hey, you're going to want to freaking give up after about 2 months of doing this, 3 months of doing this. But guess what? If you actually want to meet your goal, right, you have to persist with it. Okay. Same thing in my business world. My customers, the goal that I'm trying to achieve for them is I want them to have comfortable, the most comfortable, the most efficient and well-run buildings on the planet, because they're doing business with me, right? They're spending less money on their business building and their maintenance and their capital because they're doing business with Corey Brown. The first step in that process is, hey, I need to evaluate your current facilities and see what you're currently doing. Are you currently 23% body fat in your building? And that's what I got to evaluate. I got to do kind of a needs assessment of, hey, what are you currently doing? And then, hey, look, we need to step through. I need some cost of operations from you, right? I need some things to evaluate so that we can put hard numbers to this. Step three is, hey, look, I'm going to implement some programs that you have options, right, to implement that will get you to this goal. Without those 3 steps, I can't help you. If they don't want to do these 3 steps, I can't help them, right? If they're willing to do the third one, but not the first 2, that still might not work. If they're not willing to start step 1 for me, you get the point. You have to know how you get your customers to the desired goal. If you don't know, it will be very difficult for them to figure it out. This process helps you stay organized and helps your customer stay organized with how you're going to help them. It helps them to understand and even communicate to other people in their organization about how you're going to help them and why they want to do business with you. This framework and infrastructure for how you run, we call it a sales process internally, but externally to your client, it could be, hey, look, this is the steps to success, right? This is where we're going, and this is how we got to do it because we've seen this work. All right. So many times when I am meeting with a client, I lay this out there, right? It's the framework of what are you currently doing and what's your goals for success, right? Here's the goal that we want to achieve. All right, let me back into how I get there. And if they're not willing to do some of this work, it's like somebody saying they want to lose weight, but they're not willing to go to the gym. They're not willing to change their diet. Guess what? They ain't going to lose weight, right? It's just not going to happen. So if somebody's not willing to, the reason it's important for you is because you have to evaluate your potential clients just as much as they have to evaluate you. If I just spoke to a guy the other day. He actually tried to sell me some solar panels for my roof. Nice guy, great guy. He was burning his life away going to appointments for people that didn't want to do his process. He was not qualifying whatsoever. And he was trying to run through the process of selling with people who weren't even really interested in climbing the ladder. So it was, and I told him that. I was like, dude, you stepped into a home of a sales trainer. I'm critiquing your deal, right? Or I have been the whole time. And let me give you a few pointers. He was showing up without even an inkling of promise that somebody was interested in his thing. This keeps you successful so that you know and you have a framework to gauge whether the prospect is a good fit for you. Because that's really, if you can have a 5-minute conversation, a 5-minute, if not a 5-second conversation that says, hey, Mr. Customer, here's what we do and here's how we do it. Does that sound interesting to you? If they can't say, and you can run through a couple, 3 or 4 steps like this and say, here's the goal we typically achieve for people, and they can't say, yes, I'm interested in that, they're probably not a good fit for you, okay? And you probably should not burn any more time with them, okay? Because there's a lot of people out there that want to do business with you and are willing to help or follow your steps and how you're guiding them. And so those are the people that you need to find, and because every client's not somebody you want to work with. So this helps you stay focused. It helps you understand where you're going, and it helps your client know where you are taking them so that they can trust you in the process better. So identify what that is and what steps. What are you doing for customers? How do you get them there? That's it. So you do have to plan some things to be successful. Most people are good at making, they're good at making annual goals. Like, hey, I want to sell $1 million this year. I want to sell 500,000 this year, right? Okay, cool. How are you going to do that? We're worse at putting the action steps into place to actually achieve those goals. Because a lot of us have plenty of ambition when we're looking at where the top of the mountain, right? Yeah, that's where I want to be. Yeah. But we're not willing to back into what work is it going to take to get there, right? That's where we're just not great at. And I found something really helped me. I'm a visual guy. I'm a visual learner. If I can keep stuff in front of my face, it's super helpful for me. And maybe some of you are the same way. The daily and weekly tasks are super important. So that's what this next slide is going to talk to you about. This is planning. So whether you're an entrepreneur and you're setting this for the whole organization, and this is how you're planning, or whether you're a sales rep and you got a territory and a goal of, $200, $500 million worth of stuff you got to sell, you need to back into this, right? It was 2011 before I ever understood this. I was marginally successful in what I was doing. But once I figured this out, I really started excelling in my career. Partly because, when you get a job, many times, especially if you work for a decent sized company, they give you a sales plan, right? Okay, Corey, you sell 100,000 this year, and we'll high five and consider it awesome. So you set your goal. All right, let's sell 100,000, right? Or whether it's $1 million or whatever your goal is. When I started doubling that number, right, of whatever the company had given me, I doubled it or tripled it. Okay, that's when because what happened is when I set the goal at, all right, I'll sell 100,000 because that's what they gave me. Guess what? I sold 100,000, a little more than 100,000 because I was trying to beat the $100,000 mark. I remember when I first started, my goal was, I think it was 100,000. and I sold 125. My manager cried because he loved me, and B, several reps before me had not done that. And finally had one that, hit the nail on the head. The next year, my goal was like, I don't know, maybe 150, 175. I sold probably 180, 200,000 maybe, just above my mark, right? So when I left and did the insurance business, I started thinking on my own, right? And nobody gave me a goal. I set my own goals, right? And so then I really had to start evaluating how I was doing this. So when I came back to Piedmont Service Group and was selling HVAC services again, this was the formula that I implemented. I started tripling my goal and started doing the math of backing into what I needed to do because I set my financial goals higher. What I learned is that it doesn't matter as much what the number is. It matters what you set it at. Because I've achieved $600,000 as the top of this chart is almost as easily as 100,000. Okay, it just matters what the goal is and how you're going to implement it. So let's walk through this just a little bit. So it is the managing of the daily and weekly tasks that make the monthly and annual goals show up. Okay, if you don't manage the daily and the weekly tasks, it don't matter what you set as that top number, right? You're not going to reach it because you don't have a plan to get there, and you will drift and get busy with the operations of the business instead of the selling of the business. I've been there and done that, right? You get sidetracked, and without I have to do these things every week, every day, every month, right? You just won't hit the goals that you don't have enough activity to sustain the growth. Okay, so let's back into this. Let's say I got $600,000 worth of business that I want to close this year. Okay, typically, most good sales reps, a 30 to 35% close ratio is pretty good. That's average. That's pretty average. So guess what? I needed to propose 3 times what my goal was to even have an opportunity to close the 600. Okay, so that's 1.8 million in proposals. All right, so I got to have 4 to 6 solution meetings, what we call financial review meetings, where I'm talking options with people and throwing out some solutions so that I can put a proposal together, right? I got to have 4 to 6 of those a week. How do I get 4 to 6 of those a week? Well, I gotta survey at least 4 to 6 facilities to get 4 to 6 of those meetings. And then I got to have, not everybody is going to be want to go through the process with me and follow my steps, right? To get to the goal they want to achieve. So I got to meet with probably 7 to 10 people a week to get to the 4 to 6 surveys or financial meetings a week. And then the bottom level there on the orange is I gotta make 50 to 75 calls per week to generate those 7 to 10 face-to-face appointments per week. That's why it's a full-time gig, folks. It takes a lot of effort. It takes the biggest thing that I have seen and all my compadres in the sales and sales management world see is that you can be marginally good at, maybe you weren't born a natural salesperson, right, or whatever. You can be marginal at the natural giftings. And if you have massive activity, you will win against the guy who has natural ability but won't do the activity. The activity wins all the time, okay? Does not matter how awesome you are naturally at this business. So if you're a guy that maybe you're looking at me and you're like, dude, I can never freaking even train somebody on this. I don't know how, I'm scared to death. I'm even jumped in a sales role. I'm scared, right? Okay, I get it. The activity is the most important piece of this, okay? Map out your goal. I don't know what your deal is. I don't know what you're selling, but map it out I know how much 600 was worth in dollars and cents to me, right? And that's one of the reasons I was setting that goal. Okay. So back into your deal, find out how much, you can generate. And there is a formula to maybe, I could put $5 million up there, but that is somewhat unattainable in my market. So you do have to have some gauges there, and you don't want to set the goal so high just because your ambition is up here, but you can never get it because your market won't sustain it. Okay. So you might even need to talk to some people. If you're new to your industry, you might need to talk to some folks about, hey, what's the best anybody's ever done in this role, right? And set it there, right? Maybe a long-term guy has been there for 15, 16 years, right? Set it on his mark, and see if you can't get to that, right? And you may not do it in the first year. If you set your goal at 600 and you only do 400, okay, all right. Keep pushing, right? Monitor, measure. What'd you do wrong? Where'd you waste time? Evaluate your own business and get better the next year. That planning triangle. These steps that I'm talking to you about, all 7 of them quadrupled my business, right? And subsequently my income, okay? Over a span of a couple years, but it quadrupled my income and my business. And it more than quadrupled the business the revenue that I'm pulling in for my organization. So it's worth it, people. Okay, next, the psychology of selling. Okay, this is also a very important and intuitive thing to understand. Some people I find have this naturally because they're just more intuitive. Maybe they have more compassion, or maybe they're more what's the word? I forget the word I'm really thinking of, but they're just more in tune with how people think than some others. But so that's why I review this, because not everybody's heard this. I didn't know it when I first started. I ran into some walls and then backed up and started thinking and evaluating and talking it through with some people and started doing some research. And sure enough, even science backs up what I'm telling you here. This is actually based on a Harvard Business School research study. Okay. It's the psychology of selling. Why people buy and how you can help them buy from you, because we are both emotional and we're rational in how we think. Our emotions, right? These cats over here are actually what drive our buying decisions, right? We'll use examples here. So I really want a Lamborghini. I really want one. Man, they're so cool. They go freaking fast. And man, they look good. My rational brain at this stage in my life says that, hey, it's $285,000 for you to have a Lamborghini. And that doesn't make sense. You have 3 small kids and a wife. Where are they going to sit? It's not about where they're going to sit. It's all about the money. I would buy another vehicle just to have the Lamborghini. If I had the money, I would certainly buy it. But my rational brain currently says, hey, you got 3 colleges to pay for and 3 weddings to pay for. And holy crap, that's where that money's going. Okay. So I'm not buying a Lamborghini right now. So my rational brain just interrupted my emotional brain. Okay. And that is what happens every single time that you walk in to a client's office or speak on the phone, whether it's in a small conversation or a big conversation. They're trying to wrap their brain around, do I want this emotionally, and will my rational brain let me have it? Okay. That's why financial justification is huge in what I do. I'm selling an intangible, folks, right? I can't say, hey, this widget is $5 cheaper than your widget. If you got that, great, right? That's fine. If your widget's better and it costs less, holy crap, that's the beauty of capitalism. And maybe this is an easy transaction from the emotional to the rational in your world. But what I'm trying to help you understand is that you have to figure out how to marry these two together. You got to have to figure out how people will emotionally want to buy from you, and then how you can help them rationally justify. When you do those two things, it equals a decision to buy from you. For instance, if somebody called me today, if my car dealership buddy called me and said, hey, dude, I got a Lamborghini on my lot, I can show you how to drive this car for what you're currently paying for your vehicle. Interest would go up, my emotions would rise substantially, and my rational brain would join the fight. Okay. And if he could show me how to rationalize my emotions, I'd freaking own a Lamborghini. Okay. Everybody understand that? That is how you have to understand that, so your customer will be able to marry those two together, right? One of the things that I've always, I won't say struggle, it's made me better in this. I've never been the cheap guy, never sold the cheapest product, okay? Never been the low cost leader, ever. Always been, most of the time, the highest as far as how people perceive my product. But many times the highest value, it's the highest cost is the biggest value. Okay. I might be the cheapest solution over time. But I have to help my customer understand that. So some of you are in that same boat. I'm just giving you a couple examples here. For instance, the mobile phone world revolves around emotional selling, right? So if Verizon's all about, hey, the largest network, we got 4G, LTE, they got 5G coming, right? No drop calls, works even in the middle of nowhere, best streaming, most awarded network, right? They're the best. They're the best. We're awesome, right? That's emotional, okay? Geico is all about rational brain, man. Hey, what if 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance? That is 100% rational. Hey, dude, we're going to save you money. Insurance is insurance. We're going to save you the 15%, dude. And by the way, we got boat, motorcycle, and homeowners insurance. They're just offering options for their rational sell, right? Rational selling is many times rational selling, the rational brain ends up winning regardless. For instance, some of you might have experienced the purchasing of a vehicle that you couldn't afford really, but the monthly payments, you're like, man, I'll figure it out, right? And so you bought something that was stretching you, man, or maybe you bought a house that was stretching you, and you were like, dadgummit, this was fun when I bought it, but it feels like a boat anchor now. So that rational brain catches up, whether during the sale or after the sale. The rational brain is going to catch up with you. That emotional brain is quick-lived, right? But so that's why it's important, right? Most people, unless you're buying a pack of gum in the grocery line, and who cares? It's $1.19, right? Pick whichever one you want, or maybe it's $3. Grab one, kids. Let's go, right? It doesn't make much difference. What's funny is I'm a half stick of gum guy, and I make my kids split a piece of gum with me most of the time. So even the gum matters to me. Anyway, so rational versus emotional selling is important. That leads to the fifth secret is financial selling. If you don't understand the rational versus emotional selling, you don't quite understand why financial selling is important. I run into this all the time, training my own people in my own organization. I'm trying my best to help them understand why they need to help validate the cost of the current customer's experience, and then what we can do for them. they fight me on it. I think it's primarily because they don't quite understand that rational emotional brain thing, right? I train people almost, at least on a yearly basis, and most of the time on a monthly basis, that don't quite understand it and are spinning their wheels like a champ because they don't quite understand that they have to get the emotional brain or the rational brain engaged and agreeing with the emotional brain. And so therefore they try their best to get people excited, and they might, but they can never close the sale because they're not helping people close the gap. All right. To help them understand why what they want, they can afford and move on. Right. I had that young man that came to try to sell me solar panels. His offer, he was trying his best to financially justify it. The math didn't work out. It was going to be the ROI on the thing was 20 years or something. So if you're going to stay in your house forever or for the next 20 to 30 years, okay, that might be a rational thing for you to purchase. But if everybody's solar deal looks like the one his does, then if you're in your house for the next 5 years and then you're gone, you shouldn't buy solar, right? Because it doesn't pay off fast enough. So anyway, all that to say, without financial justification, you're only selling on price. Just like the solar guy. I mean, he wanted, I think it was $30,000 or something like that for the solar panels, and he could show me, even with tax credits and everything, I don't know, it was like $4,000 or $5,000 a year, right, in saving. I mean, it was going to be a 20-year payback, so it was just stupid for me to even consider it. So you have to understand that, right? So some of you might have products and services that you're selling that is an easy no-brainer. In many cases, my situation is somewhat, I guess, easy and a no-brainer, but you got to do the work to actually set up your sales cycle and your process to actually gather the proper information, because you need your customers' help. I don't know what my customer's spending already because they have to tell me, right? What are we currently doing with vendors? How much equipment are we replacing a year? What's our energy costs look like? All those factors are built into my how I get my customers to the goal, right? How do I achieve low cost, really efficient facilities? Well, I have to. That's a cost question, right? That's all rational. So if you're not currently asking what current costs are and have a model to gather that, there's all kinds of tools that I have that in every business I've ever been a part of, whether it was the insurance business, whether it was the fire and security business, or anything that I was doing, even the forklift business. I worked for a Hyster-Yale forklift business, a huge company. I did cost justification all the time for people of why they should add the device that I was selling to their forklift, okay? And it was current cost of operations, current metrics that they're currently can pull data on, so that you can show the benefit, whether it's a cost benefit or operational benefit. Maybe it's an HR benefit. I don't know. Maybe it's keeping more people. I just had a client actually choose to air condition their whole plant because they did an HR study. The HR study proved that they were losing so many people per year. And the HR study proved that it was worth it to spend whatever, $1 million or whatever it cost them. Probably more than that. It's probably like 1.5 million. I don't remember. I don't know. But they spent a lot of money air conditioning this entire plant so that they could keep people in place. That is a cost justified move. They're losing a bunch of people. People cost a lot of money to train, and when they leave, they take all the knowledge with them, right? It's just a costly thing. So it's better to keep people happy so that they can stay cool while they work, right? Somebody in HR did that study, brought it up to a CEO or CFO, right? And the math made sense. Okay. So they chose to do it. They wanted to do it. Who doesn't want to work in an air conditioning plant? An air conditioned plant. Everybody does. But the question is, what benefit is it, right? Who doesn't want to drive a Lamborghini? The question is, does it make sense financially? Sometimes, cost is a big one, right? A lot of people will be focusing on cost reduction or whatever. But maybe it's not that. Maybe your solution costs a heck of a lot more than what they're currently doing, but they get quality improved, their downtime, maybe their speed of whatever they're producing increases, their results are better, right? Because they're using your product or service. Okay. That financial justification is probably a third of the 3 times of the 4 times sales growth. Okay, for my business. If I wasn't dedicated to this process of gathering cost of operations and showing the cost benefit of why my solution, why change, right? That's really the big question. Is most people are trying their best to sell their solution when they need to be asking the question of, hey, why are y'all doing it this way? There's a much better way to do it. Whether you do it with me or not, there's a better way to do it. That is the way to freaking sell something. Because then you said, I don't care who you do business with, but you shouldn't do it this way. That is a neutral stance where you just stood on a box in front of everybody and said, hey, you're doing it wrong. People are at least willing to listen, especially when you say, hey, do it with me or somebody else, but this is the way you ought to do it. So what is the value of your solution? And how does it benefit your client? There's always a cross between value and the cost of the solution. We used to call it something back in the day, and I can't remember what it is right off the top of my head, so it's driving me nuts. One thing that I'm a huge proponent of that I'll tell you to do cost of operations and validate your deal till the cows come home. Because most customers don't quite understand all that you understand about the benefits of your products and service. It takes you educating a lot of times your potential customer so that you can get to where you want to go, right? So that you can show them the benefit of all that's there. They don't do all the math a lot of times, nor do they a lot of times take the time to do the math. Like if I propose a solution, right? Hey, how about this option? They might take 1 or 2 things into account, but they won't take the 5 things into account that they should. Does that make sense? Some people automatically know some of the things that affect your deal, but they don't always understand or take the time to really research in their busy lives and busy work schedules. They don't take the time to put all the pieces together. You need to do that for them, okay? That is what your job is to help people. Hey, man, you're going to want this. It's awesome, right? Here's why it's awesome. Bam, 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 bam. It makes your life better. It's more comfortable. It's going to be more cost effective. Here's how you can afford it, right? It affects these 5 areas, and I'm going to reduce costs in these 5 areas, and this is how it's going to be even more cost effective for you to do it than the current way you're doing it, which sucks, okay? So they get the benefit of an awesome, better, more desirable product or service with the feel good of, hey, it even is a better solution cost-wise now or in the future or in the long run. Life cycle analysis is a huge thing. If I'm going to buy a forklift that I'm going to keep for 10 years and running around my plant, somebody's doing a cost analysis for the life cycle. Okay, all right, 15 years, we're going to run this machine. We're going to change tires and all this crap and hydraulics and failures and oil changes. Somebody's done the math on what that typically looks like. And if you can show them a better program or even educate them on that, what their current schedule looks like, and show them a better way to do it. Even if your solution is a little higher than what they're currently paying, a lot of times it saves them money in the life cycle analysis. Because maybe year over year, maybe your cost is higher than what they paid last year. That's the detriment some people run into, is I'll gather costs from last year. A lot of times I do, hey, let's get last year's costs and look at them. Last year was a low year. It also works in the reverse, where last year was a really high year and my solution looks amazing. So honestly, an average year span, a lot of times a 3-year average is golden if you can actually get what your solution costs versus what the value is and find where the value is for your customer. The reason most salespeople struggle because they're not able to offer a better enough solution for somebody to do something different. We are very conditioned to, golly, we get in routines. We get in routines badly, right? And bad habits where we'll send a proposal out because, hey, this worked last time here, and then we get in this mode as salespeople, as quoting things, right? We're quoters, and man, hopefully 30% come, and I'll just quote a bunch. That may be applicable in some cases, but doggone it, there's better ways to do it. If you do nothing but like bid work for public jobs, that might be your goal, right? And okay, maybe relationships never on your radar and you just bid public jobs. I'm probably not your guy to help you on that. I'm going to be on the relationship side of the fence many times. 98% of the time, I'm on the side of let's develop a relationship. Most people, the sale ends in no decision because they haven't tackled the question of what they came in with is, hey, here's my product. Hey, buy my product. Hey, buy my product. My product's awesome. Buy my product, right? That's what people do when that's really not the question. The question they should be asking, the statement they should be making is, why are you doing it that way? Why should you change is what they should be showing their potential the client why they should change. Mr. Client, right, because of these key pieces of information, provide new insight, new information that they typically don't consider in their daily lives. The status quo, how everybody's doing it, is wrong, right? It's not the best solution. That's primarily the case in it. Take everybody, the average status quo healthy wise, right? A fitness level. Is the status quo where you want to be? No. And that's unsafe, right? The status quo of health is, hey, we're going to have some sort of issue with mobility and disease and heart attack and obesity, whatever, right? That's the status quo unless we do something drastically different. I just had a buddy that I hadn't seen him in about 2 or 3 months. Brother has lost like 50 pounds just like that. I was like, what are you doing? He said, man, saw my doctor, and he gave me a little wake-up call. I'm on a keto diet, and he's been keto ever since he had that appointment, which was like 3 or 4 months ago, and he's shedding weight like a champ. He realized his doctor helped him understand, dude, the way you're living is going to kill you sooner than you want to die, okay? And that honestly is the same type of information. Not that your customer is going to die, but hey, man, the direction you're going, you can keep going that way. Not a problem. It's just not the best way to go. There's a better way to do it. Are you interested in a better way to do it, right? That's the question. I don't care if you do it with me, but there's a better way to do it. Hey, maybe you should stop eating bread and sugar for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can work out all you want. And if you eat bread and sugar for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you will not see your abs. Okay? It wasn't until the brother mentioned 14% body fat that was the catalyst to help me understand that what I was doing is not working and will not work. Doesn't matter how much I'm working out. It is not the working out that's the problem. It is the what am I putting into my body that is causing the issue. All right, so apply this to your business, man. Show how the status quo is how they're currently operating most of the time, and how that's leading to a place they don't want to be. Show them how you can guide them along a safer path that will, and give them proof that you are leading them in the direction that is better, right? Do I want to be more mobile and active? I want to be able to wakeboard until I'm dead. How about that? We were just talking about this weekend. Man, if I can still get up on a wakeboard when I'm 90, I will have just hit the moon, boy. I'll feel so good about myself. My goal, I'm 40 now. If I can do a backflip, a scarecrow, and a tantrum, scarecrow, and a back roll when I'm 50, I'll still consider that pretty awesome. I actually am probably going to push that up to 60 because I'm already 40 and I can still do all that crap. I'm still progressing right now, and I'm 40. Anyway, I changed my eating habits so that I can be healthier longer. I can live a more productive life. I can live a more active lifestyle. I don't hurt. My aches and pains go away, right? I don't have chronic issues. The same thing you can apply to your business and how you're going to help your customer. The questions are not, will you buy my thing? Because if somebody had to come to me and said, hey, will you buy my keto diet? It'll help you. Guess what? I just think they want to sell a keto diet. And I immediately think that, what are you trying to get from me instead of help me, right? That's exactly what we think as human beings. You're trying to freaking sell something, man. You don't care about me. So the question is, hey, dude, you want to be more healthy? What's your goals? That would evoke some thought and bring up some, that's what the brother did that mentioned 14% body fat. Okay? Keep those in mind. Apply it to your business. I'm happy to work through some of this with you. Some people are like, man, how do I organize my sales process to make sure some of this stuff happens with my people or with myself? This ain't the place, but you can call me and get in touch, and I can help you. All right. This is a great one. Okay, so this isn't the last, but it's a great one. Everybody wants options, okay? Some people don't give options, and I'm flabbergasted about that because we have options in everything we do. You go to the grocery store, tons of options. Restaurant, tons of options. Buying a car, tons of options, right? You got options in everything. You know why there's never an objection to paying a bill at a restaurant? It's because you chose what you wanted to eat. And there was a price tag right beside it. You chose it, right? There was plenty of options. You could have ordered something cheaper. So when the bill comes for $35.95, guess what? You chose that. So you pay it. What's worse is when you give one option, right? If you go to the car dealership and somebody offers you, and the salesperson wants to sell you this one car at this one price, what do you immediately think? Why aren't you selling me why aren't you at least showing me some other cars, dude, at some different price points? Maybe you can get a better car that may be 2 years older, but it's got a lot more options on it that you'd like. So what? It's got 30,000 miles, right? Why wouldn't he show me that? That's the immediate thing we think as people, right? Understand how people think. If I'm not giving you options, I'm shooting myself in the foot. Okay. When you go to talk with somebody about an actual buying decision, okay, this is the make it or break it meeting, right? Where we're going to talk through, um, hey, Mr. Customer, there's several plans that you could work with us on that will get you to the goal that we've talked about, right? They might feel a little different, they might act a little different, but all of them will get you to this goal, okay? Um, Providing these options provides some clear and concise, just discussion, for your meeting. Hey, you got something to talk about other than, all right, here's your option, bye, or do you want it? It provides some visual aid. I bring these options, right? I bring them on a one pager, something that just like this, right? I bring something that looks very similar, with bullet point, summary lists of that I actually call an option summary every single time, because I need something to speak to, something the customer look at, and even something to leave behind. Okay. It's the condensed information, right? Some people want to shoot proposals out. Hey, let me give a proposal to everybody, and hopefully 30% of those proposals will close. Guess how many people read your proposal? Hardly any, right? The lawyers might read the back page of terms and conditions, but people hate reading through 10 pages of documentation to find out what your price is and what it covers, right? You could honestly do that in a options summary. Couldn't you? It's an easy way to communicate the value versus the cost. So if you have a low, medium, and high option as far as price, hey, guess what? Your bullet points of what's covered in those low, medium, and high options will be immediately apparent, so that they can kind of see side by side, oh, this is why this one's this price and this one's this price. So in one shot, they can see the value without you having to say a thing. This one thing, I didn't do this for a long time. When I started this business in the air conditioning world, I may have been trained to do it, but I got out of it somehow. But I would do my own research, and I'd put together an option that I thought was just awesome for the customer. And I'd try my best to get them to buy it because I believed in it so much. Now, that probably helped me because I believed in it so much, and it was so concretely good in my mind for the customer that enthusiasm and the fact that I was so sold on it helped the customer adopt that same enthusiasm. And I was always rationally justifying it for myself. I always put my own self in my customer's shoes and say, if I was having to make this decision, what would I do? I'm pretty frugal by myself, right? With my own money, with my own family, right? I split pieces of gum, people. My kids hate it. They're always like, Dad, it's just a piece of gum. I don't know. My dad did it with me. We split pieces of gum. Half of it was because he didn't want us to be chomping on a whole stick of gum when we were in church. Anyway, it's an easy way to communicate the value of your options. Bring the option summary. It's something that will help guide that conversation. Just this one thing alone really, really helped me. When I started giving options instead of shoving an option down somebody's throat, it really, really helped. By itself, I tend to think that I would have probably doubled my business had I just been doing options. That's how powerful this is, in my opinion, because you might not get an opportunity to talk through all the financial selling, and you may not have that option or the opportunity in every case. But by sending an option sheet or forwarding that on, you at least give them a low, medium, and high option. And then that starts to develop questions in their head. They can call you back, right? Many times the premium option, by the way, saves the most money, is the best feel. It's like riding in a Cadillac versus, a Pinto, right? That's what I always describe it as. You'll get to similar destinations. One's just a lot easier ride because of how it works. Okay. Just one thing I will state here that this says is a confused mind does nothing. So be prepared with a summary of options so you can discuss with your potential client. If you try to spit this out in just your words, people will get confused because you have nothing visual. Most people are visual learners, okay? If you're just stating these things and you're not giving them something to see and visually consume, you will just confuse them. I did that too, right? Then they were just confused and they did nothing, right? So many, again, the last slide, 60% of sales end in no decision. That's one of the reasons is because your customers are freaking confused because you're not laying it out well, right? You might know your stuff, especially if some people that are new, they're like, oh, we got this option and this option and this option and this option. Which one you want? Customer's like, I don't know what you just said. Use the option sheet. It's huge. Just a couple 5 reasons of why I want to go through that options increase your sales. All by itself, right? Just if you just change this about what you're doing, if you're currently taking one option to the table, just change this first and see what happens. Number one, the customer feels in control and takes ownership of the purchase. That's the restaurant example. Nobody argues about the bill at the restaurant. They chose the meal and the price was right there. Okay. Number 2, it gives the customer something to say no to. If you give them one option, you got a 50-50 shot, no matter how good you think the meeting went. They're going to say yes or no to one option. Okay. By giving multiple options, the golden number is 3, by the way, 3 to 4 options. Even the Harvard business guys say that, like, you get too many and they're still confused. Even if you're giving an option summary and clearly laying out the options. Stick it to 3 is what I found to be really helpful. Everybody wants to be able to say no to something. It gives them the control. Like, no, I don't want that, but I do want that. Number 3, the customer has multiple price points to choose from. Again, that if I'm a cheap guy, I want the cheapest thing you got. I'll order the cheapest thing you got. I used to order meals based on price, right? There was a time in my life I didn't make any money. And I ordered based on, I looked at the price first, then decided if I could, chew on that. Thankfully today that I don't have to do that. I can look at what I want to eat and then whatever the price is, let's knock it out. Or I can rationally justify it based on what the price is if I think it's going to be that awesome. But right by itself, those multiple price points. If I'm a guy that likes Primo, I might stick with your highest option, and because I like the best, right? Which one's the best? And you might have customers ask that. Number 4, options may provide value that the customer did not realize was available. One thing I see all the time, especially in the contracting industry, like I'm in, is the customers will tell you exactly what they want. Here's what I need. I need this, 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 and this, and this. Get it to me by Tuesday. Okay, right? And people run back and write it all up and put exactly what they put down, and they send it over on next Tuesday. Well, guess what? In the meantime, somebody using their noggin called the customer and said, hey, what if I give you some other options I'll put together what you asked for, but I'm gonna give you a couple other options. And so you didn't know it, but I was talking to him as well. And I used my noggin and came up with some other options that might benefit him. And then I used some rational justification and some financial analysis to show how it would be better for him than what he ordered. Because I did my work and I used my brain, I showed him value he didn't realize was available to him. And by the time you get back to him Tuesday, the deal's done because I was there Thursday using my brain to give him some options. Okay? That's huge. Huge, folks. Reason number 5, your prospect does not need to go to your competitor for options. That also is a massive statement. Everybody wants the options. If you tell me, here's how much something costs, the first thing I'm going to do is go on Google and check you. And I'm going to look up your mess. Right now, I did it today. I have a friend that's trying to get me some hats. And I was just like, what does it cost for me to develop, create a hat? Well, okay, thankfully she's cheaper. And so but I immediately validated that, that's not I don't need to do this myself, right? I don't get bulk pricing and all that stuff on these things. But what did I do? I immediately went and checked, right? So you might have the same issue. Your customer is going to check, right? Whether it's with your competitor or online or something, they're going to check pricing. But if you give them a plethora of things to choose from, you've just given them several options and they feel less need to go check because you've given them a vast window of opportunity that they could choose. It's their choice. You're happy with whatever they want to do, right? If either of these solutions fit you, let's do it. You might have an opinion. I do have an opinion many times, and I've run the math on all of the options. And I'll even say, hey, look, it looks like this middle option is going to be the most ideal for you. But it's up to you. Hey, this other option is good, it's robust. It just doesn't save you quite as much money. But the ride feels better because it covers more options and things like that. I had a customer a couple years back that I tried my best to get them to buy the lower tier thing because they asked my opinion. And I ran the math. And I said, hey, based on your numbers, I'd probably recommend this lower tier option. They bought my premium option because of the perceived value that they saw in it. They asked me what to buy. I told them to buy a cheaper option, and they bought a more expensive option, my premium option. It covers more for them. It's paid off for them. It's been a good option for them. But if I had not had an option sheet or an option summary for them to choose from, they would not have done that because I'd have just sent them over my cheaper option, and they'd have probably bought that because I had no other option for them to consider. That's also a big deal. You see, options are kind of big. You should do that. All right, we're closing in on the end here. This is big. This is like secret number 7. This is like the bonus. I didn't have this to begin with, but this is huge. I've done this without even realizing I was doing it. I think I learned it over time. But handling objections before the customer brings it up is a huge way to build trust. If you've handled all the objections, there's nothing for them to come back at you with. I learned this only because I got the same objection, there's probably only 4 objections that you're going to get. I don't care what you're selling. It's going to be price, timing, price, timing, their boss or wife or whatever, some other superior doesn't want to do it. Maybe they're in their current deal for too much longer. There's only a couple variations of objections. Learn how those are spit out by your potential prospects and learn how to weave in the effective solution to that objection. I'll give you a good example. There's a term and condition in what I do, in that, customers, they like our premium package, which we cover some parts and pieces. Well, they have to be in working condition. And so sometimes that's a contention, right? Wait a second, you might not even understand what I'm saying, but the customer is going to bring up an objection that's going to halt my process, okay, and the value that they're climbing that ladder, right, to get to the goal. I guess all I'm trying to say is what you're trying to do is just effectively handle those throughout the process because you've heard them. If you hadn't heard them, go meet with 5 people and you will hear most all the objections, okay, that come up in your sales process. And then just take note and write down what you need to do to handle that objection before it even comes up, okay? Whether it's payment terms or whether it's response time, or I mean, shoot, I don't know what it would be. There's a lot of things that your customers might bring up. Maybe it's timing. A lot of people want to stretch out. Hey, can we push this off to next month? Okay, yeah, you could, but my team needs a 30-day window to even start. So if you tell me today that you want to do this, it's 30 days before I begin, because we have to set up your account. We have to get everything in the systems, right? We have to get you in the schedule. Those type things are important to bring up because it helps your customer understand that you have some you kind of have some objections yourself. You have goals and things that you have to meet for your teams, for your company, for your product to work properly, for your service to be executed properly. There's things that you need to do. All right, so don't be afraid to share those. So a couple things that handling objections up front do for you. It shows that you understand the potential client's concerns, right? Hey, I understand this is what most people think. The fact that you can say, I understand, and I completely understand you. That's empathy. People that have a lot of empathy are able to be trusted, because if you understand me, then I will trust you more. Okay. So the fact that you understand somebody's concern is a big deal. Hey, I understand that this price is more you've been paying in the past. But that's why we've done these math calculations to pull your current operations to see that, hey, look, even though it's more than what you budgeted in the past, overall, when you consider the 3 or 4 or 5 things along with it, it actually is a cheaper solution, right? It creates trust with your potential customer. It shows that you're an expert in the subject, right? This ain't your first rodeo. You've been down this road. You've heard some objections. So spit them back out. And if you're hearing them multiple times, guess what? People are pretty much the same. And so you're going to continue to hear that objection. So you might as well figure out how to tackle it. It proves that you're being honest. Most people avoid objections and pray that they don't bring them up, that the customer doesn't bring them up, so they don't have to answer the question. Tough things that customers need to know about. That's one of the reasons that some people think that salespeople are dishonest, is because some people think they're covering up things until the deal's done, and then the real truth is going to come out. This is how it works. Really? You were selling me a bill of goods. That's exactly what most people are scared of when you, as a salesperson, are offering them something. So you have to knock down those walls as fast as possible. That, hey, look, dude, I'm not hiding anything from you here. I'm trying to help you understand how this works, right? As plainly as possible. And even some of the pitfalls. Everybody knows you're not freaking perfect, right? Everybody knows that your product or your service, sometimes the wheels fall off of the bus, okay? I even say that exact phrase almost every time a customer, before, during, and even after, and especially after the sale is done. So look, just so you know, I mean, all throughout the process, I'm like, look, we're people. We're people doing this. I don't care if it's a product. Your product's going to fail too. But we make mistakes, and 95% of the time, 90% of the time, whatever the number is, the bus runs just like it's supposed to, just like I've described. But I will give 5 to 10% of error for somebody to have a bad day, communication not to happen properly, for something to go wrong, and for you to be upset about it. And I'm sorry about that. That happens, okay? I want you to call me, right? So that they have a confidant in you, in the organization, and somebody that they can reach out to. That's what I want my customers to call me, is if it ain't acting like I said it would, call me. Because that means some communication has probably not happened like it should. The last thing is, people are typically impressed with mind readers. Hey, you've seen magicians, right? Go watch YouTube and watch anybody tell them the card that they're thinking of. Boy, that is mind-blowing. People are like, how did you do that? So it typically impresses people when you spit out the concern that was in their head and they just hadn't stated. That's big. That automatically builds confidence in you and your company, right? That you're on it. That guy said what I was thinking. So keep that in mind. Don't run from your objections that you're getting. Live in them for a minute. When I first started getting all the objections, I'd ask, help me understand what you don't believe about what I'm saying, right? Because that's what you really need to know. If this guy's objecting to you, maybe he can help you understand how to handle it for the next cat. And the fact that you're even asking, hey, I said this, you had an objection, you don't believe something about what I've stated maybe. Help me understand. The fact that you are candid and want feedback like that builds trust automatically, right? It also lets them know you're not BSing them, right? You're not just throwing them a bunch of bull. So anyway, that's handling objections. That's like bonus secret number 7. Last but not least, application is the make it or break it. If you don't apply these secrets, these steps to your business, they won't work. They will not work. But if you do, you will achieve amazing results. I don't care what size organization you are. I don't care what skills you currently have today. If you apply these things, you can grow. Sales is not something you were born with. People say to me all the time that you could sell ice to an Eskimo. Well, no. The Eskimo would want and need some ice before I'd feel good about selling it to him, honestly. I don't want to just sell a bunch of crap just because I can, okay? I want to sleep good at night knowing I do sleep good at night because what I do helps people. Whether I'm in the HVAC world and I'm helping somebody save $1 or hundreds of thousands of dollars on how they operate their facilities, or whether I'm consulting with an entrepreneur that's trying to grow their business and we're actually moving the peg, or I'm training their salespeople and their salespeople are moving the peg and we're achieving the goals that they're after, or whether I'm, helping just somebody like this watching a video and you grab 3 or 4 things, or maybe even one thing from this video that helped you move your peg, and maybe you didn't 4 times your income, maybe you only doubled it. Okay, either way, at least you're benefiting from what I'm able to help you with. That is where the real value is for me. Yes, I want to make money. And we all got to make money. We all got to support our families. I do have 3 girls, 3 weddings to pay for, and 3 colleges that we're currently clipping away on. So the money's got to be had, but the money without the satisfaction of a job well done, of somebody benefiting from what you are doing, from what I'm doing, is less fulfilling. The more you help somebody get what they want and need, the more you'll get what you want and need anyway. So I really hope that this has been beneficial for you guys. Thank you for taking some time to to watch and listen. If you want more information, you can find me at offaccessmarketing.com. I have quite a few other programs and videos and consulting services that you can plug into. So feel free to reach out to me if I can be of service. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.